swear, every time I start to think to myself I'm ready to go, especially with this new setup, I have no idea what I'm doing and I am very wrong with it. I don't even have the right camera angle. I'm starting on myself or starting on Mike instead of myself. So it looks like some guy is staring at you and he's got some unembodied voice talking to him. Welcome to the Metal Lab, guys. I finally got myself organized for the day. Though I haven't gotten my shaving organized. Jeez Louise, there goes my chance at a Dollar Shave Club advertising. I'm here joined this week by Mr. Mike White.
Hello.
And we've had a somewhat lackluster week compared to last week. Me and Pedro got to regale people with the tales of us watching the live stream of the Rocktober event. Myself and Pedro were also, talking about the results of it. I had a chance to talk to Daniel Powell this week, the winner of that. Congrats to him. We've been shrooming about Tom, who unfortunately had tickets to go out with his girlfriend this evening to go have themselves a bit of fun about the town. So unfortunately, it's just myself and Mike, and I apologize for the condition of my voice. It was a bit of a celebration on Thursday, and I did not quite recover from it. Loud music plus conversation are not good bedfellows. Mike, how's your week in HeroClix been?
Really boring and slow. Unfortunately, my only opportunity to play was going to be yesterday, but I'm a huge fan of Halloween, and this weekend was really the weekend to go out and celebrate Halloween. So my partner and I, we went to an event and dressed up. She went as Black Cat, and I went as Classic Spider-Man, and it was a lot of fun. But next day, I just was feeling kind of lazy. Wasn't hungover. Really only had a couple drinks and felt fine to go. But sadly, the location as it is right now for 401 is like an hour trek on public transit, and I just was not feeling it on the Sunday. So I didn't go, which is kind of sad because it was monster theme counted as named theme. And I was going to play a fun little DC monster team that was the Clayface from Batman Animated Series, the Super Rare, the Man-Bat, and Ink as well from that set. Vampire Batman con exclusive from a while back, Black Lantern Zoom, and Jeanette from Harley Quinn. So that would have been plus a symbiote on that for $5.98. And the fun part about the team was once Zoom picks up the symbiote, everybody on the team but Jeanette has shape change. So it's really just a fun little mean thing because I've had a lot of luck with shape change. Everybody knows that I roll shape change really well, so I thought I'd have fun with it. Didn't get to go, so really that was it. Was just building teams and looking at the new set and being excited about the new set and all the different possibilities, and thinking about the upcoming WKO in Whitby, which will be sealed. So again, another reason to look at the new set. And that was it. That's really my week in HeroClix.
Well, it's a little bit more exciting than mine. We did early in the week film that episode that got released on Friday, so that happened. It was very important that particular episode got released on that Friday for a certain number of reasons. I think we all know, and I'm going to keep my mouth shut about it for the most part, because that requires that I make a disclaimer. And I don't want to make that disclaimer on every episode of my show. That's boring. But it's been an exciting week to say the least, and I'm happy it's over, and I'm looking forward to the next thing with that for sure. As far as HeroClix is concerned, the real stuff, I have spent a lot of time, of course, discussing this past week's Rock World Cup. Though that only has so much of a bearing, as Mike said, it's time to start looking at Battle World. We got the tournament this week on Friday, which is Battle World sealed. We have Team Worlds, which is an important element of that as well. Plus, we also have our first in Battle World constructed event on November 10th at 401 Games. So it's there's a lot to be thinking about in regards to this set. And as Mike said, and kind of pushed us into that, we kind of have to look at the set as a whole from a sealed perspective, something we didn't get a chance to do a lot on the channel because of various reasons. I don't think we had the time, and then for some oh yeah, and when the set of course came out, which is when we usually do the sealed, it was time to start talking about Rocktober. There's plenty to talk about there. So what a couple past, like it's gone so wacky for the past 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden nothing. And this is the post major tournament blues, as it were, for a show like this. So, Mike, when it comes to sealed for Battle World, what do you think people have to look at? I mean, obviously in sealed you have to look at the common slot for a set. That's where you're going to get your expectations. But what are keynotes in the set that you want to look for when, just in the broader string of things?
Well, I think first off, everybody's paying attention to the Baron or Baroness of Battle World traits. Much like with the X-Men set, you were looking for Headmaster traits, and we saw how much Headmaster traits changed the game hugely. For that Perplex, for that leadership, for that free ID card that could be very effective. That's huge. Well, in this case, leadership, again, always useful. Perplex is big. And especially because we're playing in a sealed set, you're looking for other figures that are sharing a keyword. And in this case, you get the added benefit that you're going to have a +2 potentially. And vis-a-vis, you could do a -2. In fact, in a release day event, I managed to pull that off. I pulled a Regent, and in playing him, I faced off against someone who had a Battle World keyword that he did not have and was able to do a -2 to them. So that's you can't forget about that. I mean, that's the most important part is it is a sealed set, so we know the sort of the limited pool of things, and that trait becomes that much more beneficial because most of the figures in the set have a Battle World something keyword, right? So you're sort of rolling the dice that you're going to end up with one that's opposite of that, and so you can take advantage of that -2 to affect your opponent that way, and +2 for your own guys. What I also think is really important to pay attention to in this set is the other trait, the Weird World one. I'm just trying to find the name of it again because I forgot the actual name of it. Untamed Weirdness. Yeah. Another hugely effective and game-changing trait. There's so many permutations to it. When you go to attack them or you're being attacked by them, there's no modifiers for your figure. That's big time. Just think of something like Wakanda. Everybody loves Wakanda. I love Wakanda. Wakanda forever, man. +2 defense if you're not ignoring hindering. Well, Weird World doesn't care, right? Weird World figure comes in to attack your guy standing there in hindering. If they don't have stealth, they don't care about that +2 because you don't get it. So that's also a huge thing to look for. So just first off, those two traits are something I think you want to keep an eye out for when you're starting to go through the figures. In terms of figures themselves, and like Jason said, in the common slot especially, I kind of really like both the Valley, Battle World Valley characters are not to be sort of ignored. Sheriff Stephen Rogers, his whole... Yeah, like that whole, when you go to attack him or adjacent friendly characters, you can't positively modify or replace your attack value. That's again a hugely effective thing, especially when he's got an 18 defense and ESD. So if that's at a range, lots of low figures you can sort of all group together. And I have seen boosters on the semi-regular come out and sealed that are thematic boosters.
Yes,
I think.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that it's a purposeful thing that's been happening. I've seen Weird World ones. I've seen Valley ones. So those two, especially because of the fact there are so many with those keywords in the common slots, you really have to pay attention to that. You can take advantage. You can get a theme team easy. And to a lesser extent, the Thor ones, the Asgardian ones, you can get in there too.
Absolutely.
Sorry. In general, I love the generics. I think the generics are all really useful in different ways, especially the Crystal Warriors that have fantastic defensive ability. Don't be confused, though. They have no damage reducer if they don't get those rolls. It's not like toughness. It's not like that. And sadly, penetrating and exploit weakness go through it, because anything that says it can't be reduced, well, that power is reducing it. So it's not as runaway as maybe some people think when they first look at it. But again, it can be super useful. We're talking about a sealed set. There's not, it can't be outwitted. So you still have to deal with it in some way. And there's actually not a lot of Pensai or exploit weakness in this set from what I've sort of loosely scaled through. I know it's there, but it doesn't look overwhelming. So I think that, again, defense becomes that much more valuable in a sealed setting.
Yeah.
Lots of great figures. Sorry, Jay, go ahead.
No, it's all right. It's just as a heads up, your camera has died on you, so you were
I did the frozen thing.
lucky the audio, which is the important part, got through. But
good. Here, I'll do the thing again, which usually fixes it. Let's see if that works.
There we go.
Hey, there we go. Look at that. Yeah, the audio is really the important part.
Absolutely. So as he said with the common slot, there's a lot of really cool stuff. But this is one of the most dangerous uncommon slots I've ever seen in a set as well. Especially when you look at characters like the Ultimate Thor, like the She-Hulk, like the Maestro. The uncommon slot hides some bombs while at the same time hiding some really good support in there. She-Hulk especially is a supporting running shot, probbing beast of a character. Now, it says she's only got energy explosion with a 6 range, which is, I think the two have to be worked hand in hand. That's not such a bad thing when you consider she's also got force blast and running shot. She's not going to be breaking through a lot of massive characters with that, but you can get her based and do a ton of damage with her. But also to add to the common slot, the Captain America, that's stat for stat, once you include all the things that he has, is probably one of the biggest numbered 75-point characters I've ever seen.
Totally. And that 12 attack is huge.
Yeah. And the ability to choose, I think it was either Energy Shield or Close Combat Expert. Running Shot or Close Combat Expert, sorry. And he's already got the combat reflexes, and he ignores hindering from movement. He's very mobile. And, he's got charge already, so you're either running, shotting, or charging. That's, I think that's a pretty okay character, all in all. Spider-Man, the Spider-Man is pretty okay. I just... The 2 turns of Immobilize are a little tricky, so you might want to be playing a little bit more of a defensive team with them. But like I said, the uncommon slot is not without its bombs. It's just not as trustworthy, say, as the common slot. The common slot you get between 2 and 3 figures, depending on your pack, whereas the uncommon slot you get between 1 and 2 figures, depending on whether or not you got 3 commons. And then when you get into rares and super rares and chases, things are they're untrustworthy. And there should be somewhat of a level of bombness to them. There are some smaller point underestimated rare figures for sure, and you're hoping that you get an uncommon bomb with them. But what you'll see is if you get a chase, you get a rare as well, and then you'll get like an uncommon and a common. Those are the really stilted packs, and that's kind of an iffy point for me. But super rare will replace your rare slot other times, and then of course there's the randomness of the prime slot. And that's why we don't spend a lot of time talking about those higher rarity figures, is because when you're dealing with a single player sealed, you're only getting 2 packs to work with. It's not like the team sealed where you have 6 packs to work with. You can trust to get a certain number of things. So, you kind of look at commons and uncommons and where you kind of want to go. And then you look at the rare and super rares or whatever that you might get in a singles and just kind of say, can I do anything with that? And that's some of the best strategy advice and best expectation measuring devices we can offer for players going to sealed. Like, this set is good, and the sealed is very volatile. I don't think there's anything super strong Like there are figures that stand out in the set, but there are also figures that, you know, could turn into like a harder uphill battle on a grander scale sealed in this
I
set.
will I will say this, especially about the uncommon slot. If you pull the Ultimate Thor or the Iron Man, especially if I had to pick two figures, I think you have to really, really, really think very hard about playing those two figures, especially Ultimate Thor at 125. Already he's starting with that outwit, which is huge. There's not a lot of outwit sort of
Hmm.
right there in the set. And all you're hoping for is one other Thor character, and the Thors are pretty common. And then this guy is jumping around the map in a huge way. Great, great figure. And the Iron Man, the reason I say take a look at the Iron Man, lots of mobility. Pensai is great to have. Attacking things in this set because there's a lot of stuff out there that cuts through. The plasticity and poison, very useful. Plus the other trait of getting the +1 defensively on ranged attacks. Man, this guy's all of a sudden got a 19 at ranged. It's very effective. I played him in sealed, and he was a big star. I say those are like the two. If you pull those uncommons, you really got to think about putting them on your team.
I also want to point out Eric Killmonger is very underestimated.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, especially I saw him. Now this is an ungodly pull. My one of the players that our release day sealed pulled the Chase Black Panther with Eric Killmonger.
Here's the thing. At the pre-release I went to, my opponent had Eric Killmonger and the Chase Black Panther.
And
So it is not that rare to have that happen.
no,
And
well, I
there's
mean,
your Wakanda team.
yeah, Eric Killmonger is already a 50-point character, and he's Wakanda, and that's a two-character Wakandan theme team. And Eric Killmonger helps alleviate that, because one of the big problems when you play a character like the Black Panther at a 250-point dial, in Sealed especially, is being out-actioned. And Eric Killmonger has that offensive anti-leadership that says, okay, if I roll a 5 or 6, you get one less action next turn. So now you're kind of alleviating, if you can pull that off, a certain amount of out-actioning that happens on a team like that. And what's better is the guy who got this completely forgot about that most games and still managed to squeak out a win.
Plus, he's still a very effective character. I mean, the guy's
Yep.
got charge, sidestep, and stealth with an 11 attack blades on
And
a
ignores
50
hindering
point
from
character.
movement.
Exactly. And Black Panther, as we mentioned, you play him at 250, he's a flyer, so he just brings Eric Killmonger along with him.
Mhm.
You've got a pretty beastly retaliation there with only two actions.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
gross.
So
Gross.
this is the, like, I think the only more volatile uncommon slot I've ever seen was War of Light, and that, I mean, let Sodom Yat and
Yep,
the Weapon of Cord, we all remember that.
totally. Chris Star is another good figure in this one too,
Yep.
just because of the whole being able to re-roll that blades on top of the already useful crystal shell defense
Yeah.
and the untamed weirdness. It's a good trio on a 75-point figure. It makes them a lot harder to deal with.
Well, and the beauty of that reroll the blades is it's either the attack or the blades roll. So if you got the attack through, cool. I'm doing the blades roll then. Let's go for that 6. Yeah. And of course, Maestro, like we said, he's a Baron of a Battle World Other, which is a lot more frequent than I gave it credit for. Or, can work offensively in that case as well. With traded Steel Energy, a 19 defense off the start on his 175-point dial. This is a dude to be paying attention to, especially when you get into those late dials. If he's somewhere in his last 3 clicks, he could be attacking between 2 and 3 times in a turn. It's pretty insane. So if that happens to you, I'm sorry, you let it happen. And of course, like we said, the rare slot, a little bit of bomb nature to them, but there are some smaller guys who are bomb-like in the sense of, like a Red Wolf. If you happen to get one of the uncommon bombs that we mentioned, you have Red Wolf next to him, you're alleviating certain damage elements. So don't kind of poo-poo him. Whereas, you get the Iron Goblin, who's a little bit more obvious damage-focused. Bullseye, I hope you pulled a Steve Rogers with him, because that's a combination that's scary scary to deal with because like the Bullseye is very rarely missing. The Steve Rogers is giving the PD team ability, and Bullseye, if you're targeting the right guy, can be behind Steve Rogers to get that. And then, are you in hindering? Cool, I get a +1 total out of the whole situation. He's anybody who's overlooking Bullseye needs your glasses wiped. Jennifer Kale's a great support character if you got a good solid bomb. Archon's a weird one. If you're playing against a smart opponent, you're going to have a bit of a harder time with him. But as a general rule, he's really cool. Nico Minoru, I can't think of a better proper to pull. I don't know. What are your other overalls on the rare slot there, Mike? I mean, obviously you don't know what to expect, but
yeah, I mean, you're pretty much hitting them all over the place. Obviously, the Captain Marvel, both the Prime and the regular, are great. We already know how gross her defense power is there with the energy shield and super senses, and then if she hits or evades a ranged attack, you get to heal her 2 clicks. What the hell? That's crazy. With hypersonic especially, like she's got plasticity, hypersonic, and that power. You should not be letting your opponent make close attacks on her. Like really, you just shouldn't be letting that happen. And then you're just healing. You don't care. It's so gross. Like you mentioned, Jennifer Kale, especially if you've managed to pull some man things. Now they're all regenerating man things. That's pretty awesome. I like Viv Vision though. Tough to really play her to full benefit for her points because of her keywords. Her whole probability control, where she can use it on as though she occupies a square of any friendly within her range, is huge, because you just have to be within 7, and then she can use an additional 7 from that figure. So that's a 14 square swing of prob, which is huge. But unfortunately, she's got to share a keyword. And she's only got champions in robot. Well, there's no other champions in the set, unless I missed one, but I'm pretty darn sure there aren't because I follow the series and I know there's none of them in here. And robot, you know, there's not much in the way in the set. You could get lucky and get Nick the Fury, and you could play him at 150, but I don't know. It's not such a great thing. So I just... Because we're talking about sealed, it's the only reason I say Viv is not the greatest, but I love her. I think she's going to be actually a really fantastic piece, and you have to pay attention to her. Same thing with Witch Hunter Angela. Not so much in this set, but I love the idea of that she could be a real pain in the ass against retaliators. And thematically, I mean, Bushmaster. Come on, some Serpent Society. I'm going to play him with King Cobra, and I'm going to roll leadership and take tokens off all the time. But no, those Captain Marvels, the Red Wolf especially, like you mentioned, for pulling tokens off, and even Iron Goblin has some bite to him too. If you get lucky with that slow descent into madness trait with some of those rolls, there's a lot of interesting stuff in the rare slots. I think the set just has a lot of character to it.
Yeah,
new thing to try out.
One thing worth mentioning about Vivision is even though she doesn't use that trait necessarily, she still has standard prop.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
it's just in terms of her 90 points as a figure, she seems a little bit much for 90 points. If you're thinking of prob and sort of like defensively, you know, she's only got a 10 move with a 10 attack charge, super strength. It is nice that she could just go through walls. But I think when she'll really shine is if you can play her on a robot theme team, or even cooler on a champions team. I think she pairs very, very well with the super rare Ms. Marvel that was also 90 points, who could had the crazy dial, the shifting dial.
Okay, yeah.
Because she ends up on the one with leadership and perplex in this tiny size. I think the two of them together at 180 points is actually a very good, effective pairing, and will make a nice champions team.
The super rare slot is, I mean, there's not very much in this where I don't say don't fall. Like, sometimes it's a super rare and you look at it and you say, don't fall into this trap. This is not going to help you, sort of super rare. I don't see that in this set. I mean, even the Thanos at 200 points is very dominant in this set because of what he can do to Battle World keywords. The Destroyer Thors are all really solid dial, strong dudes. Gertrude Yorks and Old Lace is 30 points. That could potentially suddenly flurry you for a ton of damage. Nick the Fury, like, that's just those stats. Like you said earlier, Regent stands out. The Doc Ock, if you can get your attacks high enough and roll like me, where even your hits are low, cool. He's gonna get a lot of attacks off. The Spider Queen, I think, is the Sophie's choice to this set. That if unmetered, you have a lot of hard decisions in regards to that character. Do I try to kill her as fast as I can, get stuck on that stop click and die? Or do I let a character with 10 movement, running shot, pulse wave, leadership, perplex, mastermind, plasticity, poison, and mind control run amok?
She is really crazy effective in sealed. People don't realize. We had her come up in the release event, and I just annihilated the rest of my opponent's team. I was doing everything I wanted to do, except for the fact that then she hit the stop click, and there was nothing I could do about it. Like, everything after that was misses, and she just was poisoning me, and it was gross. Such an effective figure. You can't ignore her. I can't say she's unbeatable, but she's almost unbeatable in sealed.
She's really difficult to deal with, for sure.
Yeah, because she hits that click and she's power cosmic. The poison's always there. Like, really insanely powerful figure in sealed.
Yeah. And then, of course, if she's on that click, she could be perplexing up her defense to 20.
Yeah.
What do you do? What do you do in this situation? Oh, man. So you got to hope that you've got something that's Battle World plus. And honestly, I was fighting against, like, we did a practice game, myself and Emily, and I had a Thanos who had one of the Infinity Gems. And even with the extra attack, I couldn't swing a hit on her. It was...
Well, it's the grossness of the combination of the fact that it's a stop click, so you can't pulse wave through it. Mm-hmm. It's invincible, so all the penetrating stuff doesn't get through it, mm-hmm. and it's already a 19.
Yeah,
right. So it's like you're struggling just to hit the number, let alone have a way of getting through that. You got to be doing base 3. Got to do base 3.
Yeah,
and you just don't have enough people left at that point to do that. You're hurt too. You're not dealing that damage. She's so gross.
Yeah. So if you don't be like, oh, he only got a Spider Queen. When you see it, it's like, oh crap, she got a Spider Queen. This is the face you should have.
The guy who had her, that's how he felt. He was like, oh, this is it's just a Spider Queen. This is no good. And he beat me because I couldn't beat her. Same thing happened in another one of his games. Hit the stop click, and then there was just nothing they could do about it.
Guys, it's not that hard. It's just a Spider Queen. Shut up. You shut your mouth.
Shut your yap.
What else? I mean, Witch Queen LeFay, we're already talking about it for Constructed earlier today. Definite consideration for Seal. I mean, if you're not considering her, can I have your packs?
I think I have to go out on a limb, which is not that big a limb, and say she's the standout figure from the set for me. Mm-hmm. She's the figure that my eye keeps coming back to, and it's very difficult not to build with her. One, for already having the perplex trait, which just having perplex, just here's a perplex is great. She's already got a 12 attack, which is a great stat. You're not even so much worrying about her attack. On top of that, mixed with the untamed weirdness, I go to attack you with my 12 attack. You don't get to modify your defense. There is very few things that are printed higher than, well, like Spider Queen's 19. Well, that 12 out of 19, that's only a 7. That's a 58% chance roll. That's pretty good. That alone, the math on that alone makes her great. On top of it, you look at that special power on movement and really process it. It's not pick a power. It's you
Have the
can
power.
use them all. So you've got plasticity when you go to sidestep.
Yep.
You just have it.
You
You
have
can
flurry when you charge.
absolutely, right? You've got plasticity and sidestep when you go to running shot. You know, all the good stuff. All of it. I mean, no stealth, but that's okay. I'll give that up for all the other stuff. Like you can't not look at this figure both in sealed and for meta build. Ruler and mystical keywords. Guys, come on.
And
We know a lot of great stuff. Ruler, mystical,
can we
you
also
know.
add in the untamed weirdness trait?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like you can't already modify. So she's attacking you with that 12 attack. You're not getting better than whatever your printed is.
Yep.
And since 19 on Spider Queen is really the highest thing we're seeing right now is a printed value, that means you're never having to roll higher than a 7.
Maestro also has a 19. But yeah,
Yeah,
you're right.
you're never having to roll higher than a 7.
Yep.
That's a 58% chance roll. I think most of us playing the game want to roll a 7 or lower. That's what we're aiming for. She, right off the bat, there's the 7. She could perplex herself,
Yep.
make the attack 13. Now she only needs a 6 or better against the highest number in the thing, doing a base 4 damage. Plus Pulse Wave.
Yep.
Pulse Wave.
So even if you have that protected, like, oh, I can get around this. No, I'm pulse waving you. It's your printed defense. Shut your mouth.
Yeah. It's so crazy. And again, I go back to the Wakanda map. She doesn't care. She does not care about that +2. Unless you've got stealth, she doesn't care about the +2 on that map because you can't use it.
Yeah.
Wow. That trade alone is crazy. This figure, crazy. Hands down to me, best figure in this set. Number 2 is Sheriff Strange. This figure, though, number 1.
All right. Any traps in the chases? Do you think, Mike? Or
Uh, not well, not really. A little bit of Black Panther. I think Black Panther looks a little bit more runaway than he is. And those, funnily enough, I find him at the higher points is not as useful. Like, I know that those stop clicks help our 3 stop clicks in a row, and you do start to create all these zombie warriors. I just found him surprisingly soft. He looked like he should have been way more deadly than he is, but I found him to be surprisingly soft. Everybody else is pretty cool. I really like the Iron Fist and, of course, the Sheriff Strange. I think are the two ones to look for, the best 2.
I think one thing to be aware of with the Black Panther is, even though he's taken damage, any of those first 6 styles clicks you have access to, and that's the key to playing him correctly. If you take 4 damage, go back to click 1 when it's your turn and hypersonic into safety. And then you go back to whatever click you were at that point. If you're smart enough with this Black Panther, you can really do a lot of work with him and make him really stand out.
Yeah,
once you get past those first 6 clicks, you're correct.
He's a nuanced figure.
Yes.
He's not. I think a lot of people might look at it first and the 250 points and think he's a little bit more of a runaway beast kind of figure, like a Phoenix Cyclops, where you're just laying waste to everything in front of you. He's way more nuanced, which is why I call him a bit of a trap. That some people might look at him and go, all right, I could just, point and click figure. He's not a point and click figure at all.
Okay. So yeah, that's the trap element. When I said a trap, it's don't use this guy. But yeah, with Black Panther, use him, but be smart about it. And don't necessarily poo-poo that 150 point dial if you think you can get a good build with it. But that's to say, 250 point dial, once you get to those 3 stop clicks, those zombies can really start to overwhelm, especially when you consider the fact that they are autonomous. So
yeah, autonomous. Gross.
But all of them are generally, once again, that situation of if you have them, play them. Namor is good differently. He's also not a point and click and go. But Sheriff Strange, meter your expectations on what you're getting out of him when you pull him in sealed, because a lot of his effectiveness comes from a lot of what we're talking about for him in constructed doesn't exist in sealed. You're not getting a lot of equipment, so the 100-point dial is a little less enticing, though it does still come with probability control, a high range, and some really cool stats. The 50-point dial, you can get a ton of damage off with it. And you're really never going to get the Walls of Battleworld trait, but he is a Battleworld Baron with Other. So for 50 points, you can be getting a Battleworld Other on top of, say, a Maestro. or imagine a World Breaker being pumped by Doctor Strange or Sheriff Strange. Like, that's +2s that this Sheriff Strange is using. World Breaker. It's another one to keep your eye on, because there's like certain mastermind targets as well. You know, if you see a Spider Queen next to World Breaker, you might be wasting your time.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
50 points of awesome.
Iron Fist takes other close combat characters and says, no, I'm better. Agamotto is just, he's exactly what you want out of 170 points. Right? And then Odin is a brick house, who takes all other power cosmic and says, don't care. I don't care.
Plus their attack values, right? Look at those 12s.
Jeez, their attack values are
many
massive.
12s. Like, you know, that's pretty gross.
Yeah, I think the theme on this one was nothing lower than 11 to start for attack values. That was the theme of the set. Oh boy. So, I mean, this is what we look at when we're going into this weekend's WKOs. I'm kind of at this point a little happy. I'm going in with my Canadian Nationals berth already from the last one that I won. Thank goodness. But I you know what? There's something about sealed WKOs. I can't poo-poo them, because I got second. Like, my current, I've done 4 sealed WKOs. 1 I bombed out on. 2 I've won, and 1 I got second place in. And then, yeah, so that's my current sealed WKO record. I'm okay with that. I'm doing okay with that, and I'm looking forward to. I mean, I love playing a comic book addiction as well. So,
yeah, I agree. Comic book addiction, always great time. They handle things really nicely. The new store, I really like in the new store. And I'm also much the same way you are. I've had traditionally good luck, knock on wood, in sealed events. I've had a couple of tough ones. World's Finest was mean to me. That whole set was mean to me. Every sealed event was so mean to me. But the rest of the time, traditionally I do well in sealed. And we were talking about it before the show. I already like the energy when I don't have to stress about all the last minute decisions, you know, when you're like, what, this ID card or this ID card and this, and you know what I mean? I can't make those choices, man. I'm going to open 2 boosters. There's going to be 10 figures in front of me, and I'm going to make a team out of that. You know, all that extra stuff is gone. I find it so much more centering, and I love the game more. It feels like the game in its purest form. So I'm already having a good time, and you can't be a loser if you're already having a good time.
Yeah. And always remember, when you're walking into a sealed event, it is everybody's equal the second you walk in. You open the packs, everybody's unequal. You build the teams, there's a little bit more equalization, and then it's time to take it to the table and see if you can squeak out that win that you need, or those extra skills. Because the hard part of sealed is sometimes you can come across a game and it looks like a no-win situation, and you got to find a way to take everything you think that makes you good in the game of HeroClix and just kind of do this with it and say, look, I know I usually do this and I usually don't do this, but I have to do this in order to pull out this win. And that is what always puts a player who's in puts a player in an extra level above sealed. You know, I've at times found myself being like, I gotta play a stupidly defensive game somehow and not lose, And I remember there was one sealed WKO in Whitby where actually this one, sorry, I played like 5 sealed WKOs, and one of them two of them I bombed out of. But this one was like round 1 and 2 I had won, and going into round 3 I had a total of like 25 points. So, and that's never me.
Well, the thing is that people sometimes forget, and you need to remember in sealed format, the opportunities and the options are way larger to come back in, because your opponent is way less likely to have been able to cover all the bases because they're limited. They've only got 10 figures to pick from, right? It's not like in Constructed where someone's had the time to really like meta build and net deck, as it were, you know, where they cover all the things. Okay, well, I got rid of all these dice rolls, and I've got rid of shape change because I've got this and this, and I'm taking care of the terrain because I've got this figure. Like, you can't cover all the bases. So the best part about sealed is, like Jay's saying, it's like you're all equal. You're all in a position where you can't cover all the bases. So every single team that's out there has to have a flaw to it in some way. So there's always an opportunity for you to come back. There's always an opportunity to figure out another way to win the game. Like Jay's saying, try something new, try a different strategy, put yourself to the test. You know, that it's. I can't say enough how I think that's what's the best part about sealed. It's so much opportunity.
Yeah. All right. So with that, I'm excited to be there the Saturday. Once we get through all the Halloween festivities, and I'm through my sugar coma, hopefully I fare better at this one than I did at Rock Canada Cup. That's for sure. And of course, my world thinking. I'm starting to drift away from the team worlds and start actually getting into constructed ideas. Some of them silly, some of my ideas pretty silly, and I haven't sent any off to Tom yet, who is either going to crap on me or do what he usually does and says, "Try it. What happens?" I'll be like, "I don't have time for this, Tom. Tell me what I should do." So I'm probably going to be getting some practice time in with Amber whenever we can squeeze it in as well. And of course, to help make us a better channel, we have our Patreon at patreon.com/MaritalClicks. And that's where we get all sorts of fan input, including any questions we might have today, guys. So if you're watching and you're on the patron Discord, which you get access to at patreon.com/MaritalClicks at any valuation. We also have our patron hangout coming up this Sunday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And as Amber and I enter this wacky and crazy November, my goodness, is it really something else. We also realized the first Sunday of December is the same weekend as HeroClix Worlds. And we may be trying something interesting depending on whether or not our hotel mates agree to it. Because, oh no, wait, Sunday, I think we're traveling on the Sunday. I have to double check to be sure. Don't think, so we're probably going to have to push that back. With all that silliness I just said, we're probably going to push it back to the 11th, but nothing is written in stone just yet on that one. Let's see. Let's go December, that's January. December the 3rd is a Monday. Sunday is the 2nd. Okay, yeah, so we'll have to see. We'll see what's up. Anyway, I've babbled. Mike, if there's nothing else, we're going to move into fan questions. We're good. All right, cool. And Amber has decided that the kitchen needs to make the most noise. Love you, honey. So I'm going to pull out those Facebook questions right now. And Facebook has decided to move incredibly slow along with Google Chrome. All that security, guys. All that security. Security does not equal performance. Here we go. Oh, boy. Almost there. I promise. I promise. It's coming. It's coming. Being awkward now. All right. So first up, from Mr. Chris Stockhouse, the man who makes it an episode and provide us with a beautiful stamp. To put a stamp on the episode, as this has been a long-running joke that I think at this point has lost most meaning, and we need to reiterate maybe next week. Chris Stockhouse asks, any thoughts on playing an unthemed Blackbird? I've been thinking and testing a build with a bird Sam Cap and a Cyclops to pilot with retaliators and ID cards. I would only play this in events where rock maps like Ultimate Sacrifice and Hedge Dungeon aren't legal. Yeah, so like for WizKids, for the meantime, while only WizKids maps are legal at WizKids events, you may be onto something with that for sure. Given that those maps would definitely be problematic for you. And of course, like you're obviously aware of, an unthemed team does give up map choice. So you do have to understand that map choice is going to be not something you lose on a regular basis. So do be aware of how this team in particular, I say, functions in the underground. Now, I know Mike, his opinion is going to be a little bit more violently against this very idea. But Mike, what do you think of the idea of a
why would you make that assumption?
I don't know. I may have accidentally put on my show the man who I've known for years to be evangelically in favor of theme teams even before the existence of theme teams. This man was making theme teams when theme teams were team symbols.
Yeah, pretty much. I have actually, in my 15 plus years of playing this game, I have to admit that I have developed a mental block when it comes to building, and am incapable of building without theme of some sort. In fact, it's the first thing I click in the HC Realms unit section after a set. I go to a set, and then I start looking at figures, and then I click on a figure, and I go immediately to keywords, and then I click on a keyword, and I start building from there. So the short story long, no, would be my answer. Of course, I'm not looking at a non-theme build with that, because I don't build not theme. I really don't know how to, Chris. Like it's I'm not even kidding. I have to. Like, I don't know how to build anymore without theme. Non-theme events, I get so freaked out. I'm like, how do people begin? Where do you begin? There's so many figures.
And to attest to this, when we speak of the murder room, part of the murder room is I almost murdered Mike trying to get him to stop playing a theme team. Because the night before, I was like, maybe you should just give up on theme, Mike. Just give up on theme. He was like, no. I was like, Mike, give up on the theme, please.
But especially now because of map choice. Yeah. Like you said, with a team like that, with a Blackbird and being so susceptible to map, especially I don't want to then build non-theme for that and have the map gods say, we're going to bone you. We're just going to bone you every time. Yeah. I can't do it. I have an aversion to that kind of boning.
I mean, there's a long period of time where none of, like, my 3 maps consisted of map 1, which I'm good on, map 2, which I'm good on against other teams, and map 3, which was WizKids Office, in case somebody plays the Skull Ship, because the Skull Ship couldn't move in that map. So
WizKids Office. Yeah, religiously I bring WizKids Office.
Yeah. It is my other religion. I mean, nowadays I call it the underground dungeon, or the underground cavern, but still. All right. Speaking of maps, Michael Fedor says, let's take a look at the new Battle World maps. A few months ago, I asked you to rank what top 3 modern maps being used. Does this new Battle World break into the top 3, or would I not likely see it in competitive play? I have this map, and I haven't looked at it. Mike, have you looked at it while I try to find my copy?
No, I got one, and I'm sorry, I didn't really look at it very well.
Where's my cartographer? Where is my Tom Kerr?
Yeah, bad host right now. I don't even know where my copy is.
Amber, where are the Battle World maps by any chance? You know?
I'm sorry. Hi everyone. We're sorry that I don't have that map here.
I was trying to find the map, and I have no idea where I have.
See, people. We should get people to put questions in the day before the show.
Here we go. We're good. We're good.
Don't you think maybe the day before we could do a little more homework?
All right, hold on. So Weird World Outdoor has a lot of water. This is important. This is an important element because there are some teams right now that can make effective use of water. Here we go.
King Shark.
King Shark is one. Starro is another one. In my understanding, makes effective use of water. I might be wrong on that one. Floral Colossals can use this map. I just got to look at the bounds of the water. So the water bounds are kind of... Oh, God. This is aptly named the Weird World map. The water is weird in this. But there is... this is like this and the Penguin Lounge, I think, have the most water of WizKids maps in this. Then we move into this one. This one's got its fair amount of blocking, but it's like this wide open thing in the middle. I don't know which team would make effective use of this. This is a bit of a nightmare for... Like, this is a forced movement against the Blackbird. Because if you look at it, the only real places a Blackbird can occupy outside of the starting area are like here, maybe here, but actually, you know what? Blackbird might like this in some cases because it can make effective use of some of the squares. I didn't see the spacing on this. Honestly, neither of these look like they're super breaking, but there are teams that can make effective use of these maps because there are this wall here and this elevated here. This is why is this not called the Weird World map? Like, I know it's called the laboratory, Regency Laboratory, but that one's a little bit more weird than the Weird World map. I don't think either of these break the top three, that's for sure.
Well, I'm pretty sure the laboratory side is from Renew Your Vows Regent. That's his. Those are the crystals that he keeps the heroes in that he's ripped their powers from. And then the other side, of course, is Weird World, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
I think we do just have to look at them in terms of really more the water side. That it's another map that now brings more water into the game, and until rock maps are legal, as you mentioned, there really is only the Penguin map that has it. King Shark needs to have that option. He wants that there, and there's a couple other figures, Flora Colossus and stuff. So in that respect, I think we have to pay attention to the map for that and for bringing another element like that.
All right, we're going to move into the Patreon Discord before we move into the chat. If you're live in the chat, capital letters question in front of your question so we can catch it in there. All right. First up, is the Ultimate Thor going to appear in competitive meta teams? Based on how soundly I had my butt handed to me in a sealed tournament, the top dial outwit on him, brutally dangerous to deal with. I feel like Thor is one of those things where it's like you got trounced and sealed because he's really good in set. There may be a team out there, just not this year. I think after next rotation, he might power up. This is one of those situations where there are a certain number of figures that are just not good enough that kind of fall under the radar because of what's good now, and I think Ultimate Thor is one of those. That's my thought. I don't know. What do you think, Mike?
I think he's right on the curve of the ellipses of the possibility, I guess is what I would say. The fact that him and one of the generic Thors at 60 points is 185 points. That 60-point Thor can then bring Ultimate Thor over onto like the symbiote and give him the opportunity to pick it up, or over onto Mjolnir and allow him to pick it up in one turn is nice. You know, there's always that good potential and the PD and the outwit. So I think there are people out there who could build with him and make something really good out of him. But I think he's like a tier B kind of guy. Like, he's not really let's go to with meta. I think he can be picked apart pretty easily. I do really love the passing of the Ultimate Hammer, though. The fact that once he picks something up, now you can sort of pass it along to his team. Yeah. But if they ruled his power worked with anybody with Thor in the name, like Thorus, I would say for sure you can make him meta, because there's plenty of figures over the year with Thor somewhere in their name, and you could exploit the hell out of that. But that's not the case. So,
did they rule against Thorus?
I'm pretty sure there is no ruling right now, but I think because of the fact that you could then argue I think there's like other figures you could say, well, have THOR in their name somewhere. Do you know what I mean?
I would argue then that, yeah, let me use those too.
Well, that's it. So I think the intention is that's not the case. I don't know what a ruling is right now. After last speaking with Jay, it was leaning towards the side that that does not work. Right? But that's the question. Because of that is why I say he's on the ellipses. That if it turns out that it works with anybody with those 4 letters in that order somewhere in their name, that's a very exploitable trait. And again, it's a great way to have him jump over and pick something up. And once he's picked something up, everybody gets to take advantage of it. So
if I was to say modern age wise, I think the only things I noticed that really stand out as not following their goal in this character would be Lex Luthor. Okay,
there you
I
go.
accept that kind of being an issue.
Right.
And Thorn. But then once you get past that, in modern, it's Thor is Thor, Ultimate Thor, Bor Thor, Dinothor, Destroyer Thor, everything, Thor Buster, Thor Odinson, Groot Thor, like, I think those exceptions, those small exceptions.
Hey, man, I agree with you, but the Luthor one is right.
But we're talking about Lex Luthor, man. He's convincing, and Ultimate Thor was found out to be a bit of a crazy person.
Hey, you know me, man. I lean towards the allowing it because that's my argument. It says right there, and Thor in that name.
And I do like the idea of doing it with Thorin Oakshield, the Thorn Princess.
That's so bad. So bad.
Because that all I did was go into HC Realms and type Thor and find out like what the really problem figures with this are.
Is there anybody with the name Hawthorne?
Nope.
Because that would be one you could do.
I mean, like I said, Lex Luthor is really the only glaring. Oh, and I mean, if we want to, like, it's not until we get into Golden Age we see Blackbriar Thorn might be questionable. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, because when you go to Golden Age, it gets crazy. Because you got you got Thorn Princess and yeah.
So it's like you'd have to go golden in order for it to be problematic. I think like that small little bit of Lex, I'm cool with. it. Because if you've built a team that uses Ultimate Thor exploiting Lex Luthor, you deserve it.
You're preaching to the choir over here, man.
I don't think you can team that, Mike, so I don't think you'll do it.
No, sadly, I can't team that. I don't even know how to build that. I'll find a way. No, politician, no.
Also,
ooh, Dee. Lex Luthor, God of Apocalypse, is Dee, but I can't do a 300-point team.
Have fun with that one.
I was getting there though. I was getting closer every second.
Michael Fader does go on to ask, do we in the HeroClix community deserve a larger Arrowverse set gravity feed? Okay. Does the HeroClix community deserve anything? No. You guys need to learn how to follow instructions before you deserve anything. Myself included. We are the worst at following instructions. But would it be cool to get an Arrowverse HeroClix set in Gravity Feed 4? Sure. I'm all game for that. Deserve? No. Mike, do you agree or disagree?
I agree with you on that one. Also, no offense to Arrowverse, I don't think there's enough. There's not enough there now to pull them off.
Would Legends of Tomorrow be included in Arrowverse?
That's a good question. I would assume that they are. I still don't think there's enough yet. By the way, don't hate me. Lex Luthor from the Fast Forces Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice set has the celebrity keyword, and Ultimate Thor also has the celebrity keyword.
Shame HC Realms is wrong about that being modern.
No, I'm not saying he's modern. He's not modern, but I'm just saying there is a Lex Luthor out there who could fit on a 300-point team with Ultimate Thor, and it would be keyworded. It would be theme team. Yeah, there's always a way.
Yeah. And then they go on to kind of babble on, as it were. All right. So next we move on to the chat. Okay. First question. Okay, and I'm going to address this in the way that Mary with Clicks would address this particular question. Christopher Smotherman wants to know: being such an influential leaders of this of the community, do you care to address any of the hostilities among us if our elite? If not, I understand. I just want a healthy community, as we all do, as do we all, I assume. Of course, we agree that we need a healthy community, and no, perpetuating any sort of any kind of headbutting in our community, I'm going to keep away from that. This is not what we do on this channel. We love each other. We love this game. And I want to promote community and happiness. Other channels are named as such and tend to garner that sort of response. And what I saw and what happened in this particular incident that I believe is occurring started in jest, got a little weird and out of hand, and needs to kind of get reined in. But that's none of my business. Mike, do you know what I'm talking about?
I actually don't.
And that makes you a better person.
But I would reiterate what you said, which is I like to focus on the positives of this community. The other great players that I've met who want to encourage people learning and playing, and lots of people enjoying this game that we've all put our hearts and minds into. And we should focus on that. We don't need time for negativity and drama.
And I'm hot enough trying to remember how to dress for my show and hide my job, so I don't need any more heat on my channel, as it were. Next up, Nolan Lake wants to know, what special object would you put on a 50-point Sheriff Strange? Stormbreaker? Also, do you think Region will be a very potent figure in sealed or constructed play? I know in sealed he's potent, right, Mike?
Absolutely. He's great. He's great in sealed.
I don't know what I would equip with. I've never thought of equipping Sheriff Strange myself. Mike?
No, I hadn't really thought about equipping him either. He was really more, because I look at putting him at the 50 points as opposed to the 100 points. And he's already kind of doing what I want at those 50 points. Stormbreaker is, which one's the storm? That's Energy Explosion and
+1 range, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
Let me pull it up for a second here on Mighty Thor.
Yeah, I'm almost there myself.
Oh, the race is on. The heat is on. There we go. Energy Explosion, Quake, Modify Range +2.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to give him a 10 range. I mean, he's only single target anyway for Energy Explosion.
He's already got Force Blast.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I mean, to be honest, I would put, even though he's already got Force Blast, I would still look at putting Thunderstrike on him before I would put Stormbreaker. Yeah, exactly. It was just for the heal, more than anything else. You know, Yulburn for the 9 to 11 crit hits are nice, but
I don't. Staff.
I just don't think you really need to.
Yeah, I feel like you fall into the trap of I want to equip everything, and I think Sheriff Strange is one of those characters you don't need to equip. He's good enough, sort of situation. And I don't think there's any equipment that gives out. Is there anything that gives out sidestep or running shot? Oh, sorry, Exospecs there, because that's gonna go on everything.
Yeah, to be fair, I don't have that come up in the HC Realm search yet, but looking at them and their potential, sure. Yeah. I think with the low points of them and the way you build, that's definitely an object that's going to fall into the category. You know what it's like? It was like Pim Particles. Yeah. I put Pim Particles like Red Hot sauce. I put that on everything.
Exactly.
That's what the Pim Particles were. It was 2 points, and I would find myself at a 298 builds, and I'm like, well, why wouldn't I put them on there? Suddenly I'm giant. Suddenly I'm tiny. Like, why wouldn't I? So that's there you go. That's the answer. Exospecs.
Exospecs, sure. Like when it comes down to it, if you have to ask that question and Exospecs isn't the answer, what are you playing with?
Yeah, don't feel yourself forced. What really should be asking is you've built a 290 point team. These are the figures on it. What 10-point object should I put? That's really what you want. You want an object that's going on a team that could either benefit a specific person or benefit a couple of people, and it's because your build got to that place, other than a specific build requiring an object. But to just sort of look at a figure on its own loose like that, I don't think you can kind of do it that way.
Yeah. Also, if you get that 10 points and a thug and a or two, what are the guys called? 5 points, 1 click.
Tribbles?
What's that?
Tribbles?
No, the ones from Batman animated series.
Oh, suited henchmen.
If suited henchmen and thugs aren't the answer, then yeah, equipment, sure. But I don't think equipment is an answer on the Sheriff Strange, to be brutally honest.
No, not really.
Sorry, just got a message from somebody who might join us very briefly. Next up, Holy is Me. What do you think of the new super rare Thanos? I think he's stronger in sealed than he is in constructed, but I still think he's cool because Thanos is cool. Mike?
Yeah, you pretty much covered it on that one. He's a cool figure. Sealed, you'll definitely want to look at him. You can have some fun builds with him thematically, especially with those Outriders. It's nice that you've got some good low point minions of Thanos, because you can play him at 200 points, and you could play 2 Outriders and Mangog at 30 points, and there's a 300-point build. That's fun.
Mm-hmm.
So he's speed figure.
And then next up, you have a lot of people taking exception with the not enough characters from the Arrowverse. Holy as Me says, how's there not enough for a set? And Happy Hero Clay says, LOL, 40 plus characters between 3 shows and not enough. Mike, I just said I didn't want any heat on my show. I'm hot enough.
I know. Sorry, what I really meant to say was not enough interesting characters that I would care about.
Wait, what is it the kids do? Oh!
Snap. That was on fleek. That's what the kid says. I don't even know if that made sense.
The Fortnite dance and floss, right? Is that what the kids are doing? Is flossing? Or are they playing that other game? And are they?
Can you see me flossing? Look, I can pretend that I'm flossing, right?
Just move your shoulders like you're doing it.
Yeah, that's it. Look at it. There you go.
Oh, so savage. I'm sorry. I'm kind of holding out time because I may or may not be having another guest join us very briefly for the show. One Mr. Man with a beautiful voice is in from his date, and I'm sure he wants to join in and share his merriment, as it were, of Rocktober and how he felt. Okay, he's booting up his computer. We have to. It was
pretty exciting. Nice. It was pretty exciting. Well, let me just say, it was exciting. Already the matches are always fun to watch, but man, I was on the edge of my seat, doing the math with everybody else. It's like up by 1 point. Oh my God! It was like there was some pretty crazy excitement there. And I'm really, I want to say thank you to a lot of people out there who were supporting Tom and were saying, go Tom, and pointing out what a nice guy he is. He really is. I think Tom is a wonderful ambassador to our game. I'm proud to call him a friend and a teammate and a fellow Canadian. I think he is both a solid competitor, very intelligent man, and a kind person. He is always very polite and fun in games. Mm-hmm. Though I will always hate him for the Flatman incident. But that's okay. We're buddies. He's driven me enough times places, so it all works out.
The Flatman incident. I remember judging that tournament, and I was like, Tom, are you about to get into the top X with Flatman? You son of a...
with Flatman.
Also, as an update, my knuckle has gotten significantly better from my fist pump excitement when you weren't here last week, so allow me to explain, Mike. Tom won against Adam Friedman in the top 8 or top 4.
I'm pretty sure it was top 8 because then he went and played Matt. Was it Matt in the top 4? Yeah. So and then he played Daniel in top 2.
In the top 8, when he had won, I got so excited. I jumped up in the air and did this, not remembering exactly how high my ceilings are and how tall I am, and full blown punched my ceiling and broke skin on my knuckles. It was, and I'm just sitting there like, oh, Amber's like, what happened? I was like, Tom just won, but it hurts so good.
I know it was tough here, man. I had a very early start the next day, and I couldn't stop watching the match, and I wanted to hear it, but I had to keep putting the volume back down again because everybody else was asleep. And I was getting pretty excited too.
We know you're here, Tom. We're talking around you.
Yeah, we're talking around.
Oh, you can't hear us. Seat. Uh-oh. Did you try turning it off and on again?
Pull it. Yank it more. Wait
Twist
a minute.
It. Spin it. Bop it. Right?
That's it. Hit it on the side. That's what we used to do back in the day.
Press F5. Right?
Unplug and replug your headset.
F5. Refresh.
Take your.
I spelled refresh wrong too in the voice chat or the chat that everybody can see, and I really shouldn't be using.
Wait, I'm hearing him. I hear him.
I'm hearing humming. Is that you humming?
That's
Tom?
him.
Is that you making a phone
call? Never getting
Tom?
A call. Tom. Hello, Tom. Hello, you called housekeeping?
Tom? Is it me you're looking for? Oh, I'm dying of heat here.
I'm making sure it's not my phone now. I'm like, did I call somebody?
Call?
Hello, Tom. Hello.
Okay, hopefully Tom.
And he's gone.
There. If not, I will re-invite him. This is at its finest, ladies and gentlemen. Pure technological genius.
This is live TV, everybody.
Live internet, so we're allowed to screw up. It's comedy at this point, right? I can't wait to see the Reddit thread. Like, what has happened to Married with Clicks? They're the worst channel ever.
Sweet. I gotta draw one of those please stand by sign. Technical difficulties.
Oh, we can hear him.
Much better. Okay, I can hear you. Everything's real.
There's some dulcet tones for you.
Oh, good. Tom, now that you're here, everybody's angry at Mike. We need you to save us.
Oh, great. Why is everyone mad? What have you done?
Well, Mike
I just spoke the truth about the Arrowverse, and all these people.
So, just to quickly reiterate, somebody asked, the exact question was, do we deserve an Arrowverse set? Of course, I snidely said, we as a HeroClix community have to learn how to follow instructions before we deserve any set, but an Arrowverse Gravity Feed set would be interesting. Mike said there wasn't enough characters. Somebody countered there isn't enough characters at 40 plus, and Mike said no, there isn't enough interesting characters. So now that I've reiterated why everybody's angry at Mike, Tom, what's up, buddy? Been a little bit. How was October?
It was good. It was good. I played a lot of games, more than I anticipated. I was fully ready to. My initial plan for the Sunday had been to go back to my hotel room and do some work before getting a nice, modest sleep and leaving for the airport. And none of that happened because I was playing all day and all night. But I can't complain. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. All right. So, I mean, we've kind of gone through the fan questions. We've kind of gone through how excited we are for Sealed this weekend at the Comic Book Addiction. Tom, everybody wants to
be able to go. It's possible now.
Oh, nice. Tom's going to be there. That means I have no chance of winning.
You want to still need a ride?
I think were you asking me or Mike?
Mike.
I'm good actually now because I'm picking up my vehicle for the show Thursday. Perfect. So that I would have the vehicle for Saturday.
So what are you hoping to pull at Sealed?
Oh,
I'm hoping to pull a better internet connection for you, Tom.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be
Oh yeah, yeah. No. What was I going to say? What I said was, what do you hope to pull for Sealed? Although I'm sure you've already talked about that.
We talked about it a bit. We said, I think in the common and uncommon slot, there's some pretty good bombs. I know Sheriff Steve Rogers kind of stands out as super rares. We've got Morgan Le Fay or Spider Queen are really good, solid calls. But the uncommon slot has a lot of bombs that make us willing to not pull at that high level. So,
Right.
I don't know. What are your thoughts there, Tom?
I agree. I mean, like the Maestro is an uncommon, and he's just a beating machine. I mean, Regent is the obvious call. Just try to choose map, go anywhere with a ton of blocking, and choose improved movement. Ignores blocking and doesn't destroy it. So just stand back and destroy everything, and everyone dies. That's what was used against me at the Team Worlds experience at Rocktober or Team Rocktober, and it was bad. But as a result, it was really good. I agree with you though. There is force at all levels. So if you pull a powerful piece, it's not like you're the only one that did. Virtually everyone in the room probably pulled a powerful piece. So give some serious thought to whether it's really worth.
Cool. What are your thoughts there as far as like you've played in the Team Sealed? Any kind of other than the Regent highlight, anything you kind of caught that we might have been missing in our conversations, or anything that could have stood out to you in that experience?
It's hard to say. It's very easy to build theme. And I think that there's going to be an awful lot of theme teams out there, and map can make a huge difference for some of these pieces. You've got obviously Regent shoots through everything. You've got Maestro who runs through things. Lots of people who ignore terrains and stuff. So map choice I think is good, and it's going to be good to bring just a versatility of maps with you, just so that you can kind of cater to your team. The actual Team Worlds experience was super fun, as it always is. It was just the best. But there's obviously only one TKer in the set, so you're not going to get a lot of extra swing that way, the way that we're often used to. There's not a lot of hypersonic in the set, and so there is enough prob. There's so much perplex that if you can find any way to build a theme team, it's probably worth it. I personally tend to believe that in this particular set, this is the type of set where the types of things you'd get for a team setting might lend themselves better to building two good teams rather than trying to build three balanced teams. Just because there's a lot of good stuff, but not all of it always works together, and not always. There's a lot of high point stuff, but as a result, the math sometimes doesn't work out. So that was not so much our case. We actually pulled.
Oh, jeez. Tom, your internet went out as we pulled.
Oh, did it again, did it?
Oh, there he is. There.
Yeah.
All right. So, I don't know. Is there anything else you want to kind of share with us before we were actually kind of wrapping up the show? So
Oh,
I don't know. What's your Obviously, you just came off for Rocktober. What you been up to in the past week since Rocktober for HeroClix?
Not a lot besides just getting excited for the next set. I finally bought my product for Battle Worlds and got a bunch of good stuff. And I've just been starting to think about teams, really debating the upcoming Worlds experience, and because I had such a good experience with my team at Rocktober, that it makes me wonder whether I want to keep going with that, or I don't like to run a team into the ground personally. Even when it goes well for me, I'd rather try out new things. And while I don't think anything in Battle World is going to revolutionize either the competitive meta in general or my team specifically, I still think that it's maybe time to try something new. For those who don't know, which I'm sure is many people, I did well. We were alluding to is I came in second at the Rocktober Worlds event, and it was super exciting and super awesome. And I'm not going to step on your toes in your efforts to wrap it up.
No. By all means, Tom.
Well, I don't have a ton to say. I mean, it was. I mean, I could go on and on and on, but it would be an awful lot of. And then I played this game, and then I played this game, and then I played this game. I was playing the Gotham City team that I played at the Rock Canada Cup, and that I wrote that up for Majestics, so you should check it out there if anyone's interested.
Our
Um,
sponsors.
yeah, super good. And Pat was there in force, which is great to see. And like it's just Rocktober is such a wonderful experience, and I haven't had a chance to kind of go on to a public forum since I don't really use Facebook. And as soon as I got back from Rocktober, we disappeared into the bush where I didn't even have an internet connection. So I haven't had a chance to just sort of say thank you, and the organizers obviously.
Sorry, Tom.
Yeah.
I know you have a heartfelt thanks
So
coming up, but your internet is dying. So you said you've been in the woods, so you haven't had a chance to,
Yeah.
and then you died.
Yeah, that's about right. I went to the woods and I had about as much internet connection as I have now, apparently.
I was going to say, you went to the woods and you brought the crappy internet connection back with you.
Yeah, no, it was always here for me. Anyway, that was another thing I'm sure will happen as I sit here more Skyping out. So rather than do a lot of that, 2 thumbs up on the Rock experience. One of these days when I'm here for a longer time, and if anyone's really bored, I can go into it in great detail. But everyone was super supportive of me on the Twitch stream and on Facebook and stuff like that, including people on this very stream. And I don't know. I felt it was such a humbling experience because again, you don't show up to that expecting to do all that well necessarily. I mean, you want to, but you don't expect to. And when it does happen, then you really feel like you're buoyed up by the community around you. And that was true of the people that were there, and they were true of the people who weren't there and were supportive and have asked questions since and stuff like that. And there's been a lot of talk coming out of it about the different things that we're seeing and the state of the meta, which I think is all very encouraging. And I just am a really really humbled and impressed with the nature of this community. Every now and again, it comes back into focus. What a great community this is.
Mm-hmm. And one last thing I want to know before I start wrapping this up. Are you ready for the barrage of texts and emails coming your way from me while I try to figure out what team I'm going to play for HeroClix Worlds?
Yes.
All right. So
perfect answer. Yes.
Yes, and then his internet cut out, and there was no qualifier, so I am good.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. Yep. We're gonna go with
the internet will not let you answer. All right, Tom. Thank you for joining us very much at the last second. I hope you had a wonderful night with your significant other, and congratulations on the top 2 once again.
Thanks.
For Rocktober. It's well deserved, and you put in a heck of a team, put in a heck of a lot of work for it, and you deserve the entire trip. So
I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you to everyone. I mean, I'm right next to the modem now. I don't know if it's actually going to help, but at least I'm next to the modem, surrounded by stuffed animals.
I'm going to mail you a network cable to attach your computer to that modem.
It's not a bad idea, really.
This is called a hard line, Tom. Please connect one to the other and never.
Typically, there's someone in this bed around this time. So anyway.
In that case, then I will hold my comments and get you a really long wire.
Good call.
But on that note, as Tom said, his article about the event is up at about Rock Canada Cup is up on MajesticCCG.com. Our longtime sponsors, check out their Apex Insiders, MajesticCCG.com/Apex-Insiders. That's your one stop for all things HeroClix. It's great brain dumps from some great players in the game, strategy ideas, team builds for tournaments upcoming. It's where people go to throw it down and say, "This is what I'm playing. Come at me, bro."
And then they win. For all those who think that saving your team to be a surprise is the path to victory, a reminder that the World Cup champion told everybody exactly what they were playing, and then they beat everybody with it.
I told everybody about my Rock Canada Cup team.
And then you beat someone with it.
I got a bye. That was my only win that day.
You beat that bye.
I beat him good. But a lot of my best results have been when I put that up. My third place Canadian Nationals team was when I put that up. That was probably one of my highest high-end tournament placings. When I almost run a couple events. I mean, I put my teams up, and when I won a WKO, I put the monster team up for my nationals team. So eventually, it won.
It's fun. Well, it's funny how much sometimes writing it down actually teaches you something about your team. It's funny because we talk about practicing being good for your team and talking being about it being good for your team, obviously, and everything. I find sometimes writing about your team, you think about things that for some reason just never occurred to you. Really simple little things maybe you missed. So why not?
Yeah. Of course, we're also supported by our patrons at patreon.com/clicks. Any dollar valuation gets you access to our Discord and our patron hangout, which we'll be holding for the month of November on November 4th at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Going to be a busy day for myself and Amber on that one. And of course, as always, I want to thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you, Mike, for joining me on the show. Thank you, Tom, for showing us but the last second, which is, it's equally awesome and entertaining. And I'm sure a lot of people wanted to hear your voice after the event at Rocktober. And I'm sure we're going to hear more from you in the future.
You're correct.
And of course, guys, much like Tom, if you want to get up there in the upper echelon, you got to get those hours in. You got to get some practice, because practice will make your team better. Have a good night, everybody.